morning. I'm Kathleen Darcy, the Community Development Officer from Cambridge Savings Bank. And I have the pleasure this morning of introducing Heather. So if you bear with me, I don't want to miss any detail in her bio, so I will read it. Heather teaches entrepreneurs how to unlock their star potential by helping them see and show up as the biggest, best version of themselves so they can attract ideal, high-paying clients and dramatically increase their visibility. She combines over 25 years of professional performance experience as an operatic soprano with her business savvy as a certified personal brand strategist and image consultant to help her clients stand out as industry leaders and become powerful speakers. In her signature programs, clients learn how to authentically position themselves as high-value experts, create hot and profitable packages and programs, and perform like seasoned pros when presenting live and online so they can close more sales. Heather is also the host of her own podcast, Thrive, which debuted in the top 25 marketing shows on iTunes the first week it launched. And I think I need a lot of that. So, Heather, please come up, and we're anxious to hear you talk.
Thank you.
Just to show you my singing voice. I sang to tell you something and to show you something. Now I want to ask you a question. You don't have to shout it out. You don't have to raise your hand. I just want you to think about it. Some of you may have heard me sing and watched me do that and thought, oh, that's so cool. That's so great. She sings well. I wish I could do that and get up and sing like that or perform like that. And some of you might have thought, what the hell is she doing? It's 7:30 in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. I don't like opera. Right? What a show-off. Who does she think she is? Right? Some people might have been thinking that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you loved it or you didn't like it. But I'm willing to bet that you had feelings about it, that you had an emotional response to whether or not you liked it or not. And that's what a star brand does. It is not your job as a brand to be loved by everyone. Your job as a brand is to get your unique voice out in a big way so that the right people can hear you and find you and resonate with you, and so that the people who are not your audience are actually repelled. Because you don't want to work so hard and put all your energy out there to people who are never going to buy from you. And I'm Heather Poduska. That's what I do. I help people, entrepreneurs, find and project their authentic voice so they can attract their ideal clients and make more money in their businesses. So let's talk about what a star is. This one you can shout out. So I want you to think about who you think is a star. And it could be someone you know. It could be someone nationally, internationally, alive, dead, celebrity, athlete, humanitarian. Who are some people that you think of that are stars? Yes?
Beyonce.
Beyonce, yes. Yes?
This isn't anyone that anyone knows, but the AD for the Waldorf School, he always makes everyone feel great. He's always really positive. He has really great energy, and you just love being around him.
Great. So we have the Waldorf School person. Beyonce, anybody else? Yes?
Some of my employees.
Great.
All right.
Anybody else? Any other stars that pop to mind?
Oprah.
Oprah. Yeah, okay, cool. One more. Let's do one more.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Okay, cool. Yes, I like those. So what do those people have in common? What does Oprah have in common with Tom Brady? What does the Waldorf School person have in common with Beyonce? It might not be her assets, right? It's probably something else. So what is it that makes these people stars?
Passion.
Passion,
A lot of energy,
A lot.
connecting energy.
a lot of energy. What else?
Everyone knows who they are.
Everyone knows who they are.
They're really good at what they do.
They're really good at what they do. Anything else that makes
Inspiring.
inspiring?
Confident.
Confident. Excellent, excellent. So let me ask you another question. Does everybody love Tom Brady?
No.
No, I have to tell you, my poor husband had to fly to Denver the day after we lost to the Broncos. It was so sad. So no, not everybody likes Tom Brady. Does everybody like Oprah? Nope. Does everybody like Beyonce? Nope. Do you think that stops them? Did Tom Brady say, oh, well, people don't like me, I'm not going to play this season? No, right? I'll give you another example. Everybody knows Lady Gaga. Who likes Lady Gaga? Who doesn't like Lady Gaga?
I used to not.
I don't love her. I don't dislike her, but I would not buy a concert ticket. It's just not my cup of tea, right? Does Lady Gaga care that I'm not coming to her concert? No. She just won a Golden Globe. She sings with all the best artists. She's making buco bucks. She just sang at the national anthem at the
She's
Super Bowl.
Engaged to Taylor Kinney.
Yeah, hello.
Chicago Fire, hello, is right.
Yeah. And she is at the top of her game.
He is cute.
She's getting to do her passion. She's being creative, and she's making a lot of money. So people are seeking her out, right? They want her. They're going after her. They want to work with her. They want her to speak or sing at the Super Bowl. And that's what happens when you have a star brand. You become the go-to person in your industry. You get to work with the biggest and best clients. You get to rub shoulders with other influencers. And you make a lot more money. So the opposite of that is also true. If you aren't the leader, you have to work harder at attracting clients. You don't get to command as high fees. You have to work harder in your marketing just to make the same level of visibility. So I'm going to give you an example, another example. This person is in Boston, and he has 3 clients you may have heard of. One of his clients is Steven Tyler. One of his clients is Julie Andrews, and the other one is Adele. His name is Dr. Zeitels, and he's an ENT in Boston, and he operates on vocal cords. Do you think that Dr. Zeitels makes more money than other ENTs? Yep. Do you think that he has to chase after clients? No. No. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with the people that I come across. It's my mission. I feel called to help people find their voice so they can unlock their potential and really take command of their talent and their authenticity so they can live as full throttle as they want and really, especially, I know we have a very brave man here today, but I think it's especially true for women, to stop apologizing for your ambitions, right? We all have dreams. I don't think any kid wakes up when he's like 7 years old and says, when I grow up, I want to have a really average life and just an okay-looking spouse and a really mediocre career. Oh, that's my dream. No, we all have those big dreams. And just because we're 30, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't go away. We live in an expanding universe. If you don't mow your lawn, the grass takes over. That's just part of human nature. And I think what happens is those dreams get dinged along the way and we're told to be reasonable. And being reasonable is one of my huge pet peeves. Nothing great has ever happened by being reasonable. You have to be unreasonable. So I'm going to talk to you today about 7 specific things that you can do to start to unlock your potential and really create a star brand. But before I dive into that, I want to give you a little bit more background about me. I mean, you know that I'm a singer, but why I care and why you should listen to me around this. So one of my earliest memories is I was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old. I was in kindergarten, and I had half-day kindergarten. I went in the morning. My best friend went in the afternoon. So I would go in the morning. In the afternoon, I would come home, have lunch, take a nap, and then I would wait for her on our street corner because I could see the school from our block. And I would sit there and sing, and just, you know, if you have kids, they make up little songs and blah, blah, blah. And I remember really clearly, and this is what sticks in my head because we all have a gazillion memories. So why do the ones that you remember come to mind, right? They're meaningful. And I remember thinking, I hope someone walks by and hears me and discovers me. And when you think about it now, I mean, we have American Idol, we've got The Voice, we've got America's Got Talent. It's not that big a deal. It's part of our culture. But this was more like the Gong Show era. It really wasn't part of everyday life. It was just a really organic, pure desire of a little kid to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to have her talent recognized. And that's what we all want. Who doesn't want that? We all want that. And if we're in business, we want that validation by getting paid. We want people to recognize our talent. So for me, that path actually did come through music. I was really involved in my church, and I was exposed to a lot of music, and I wanted that because I saw the people on stage. I went to this really Pentecostal church. We had awesome gospel music, and we had these great singers come through. So for me, it was like America's Got Talent every week on stage. So I saw that, and I wanted that. And I started taking piano lessons at a really young age, and I was driven, just like the people that you were talking about who were stars. I had that vision. I never had to ask to be practiced. I mean, my brother used to punch me in the arm and say, "Stop practicing," right? I wanted it, and by the time I was 11, I was getting paid to play in little gigs around town. I became our church pianist when I was 13, and which was so fun because we had a bass player. So Cheryl Bricko and I would jam out on the services. And then I started taking voice lessons. Did all the things that musical kids do, had leads in musicals, competitions, solos, the whole thing. In my senior year of high school, I applied for a scholarship to study in Germany, and it was a congressional scholarship. I won the scholarship, went to Germany, and while I was there, I studied with an American opera singer. And he said, "You really should see an opera." And I grew up in Wisconsin, and I could look out my window and see cows across the street from my house. So I really didn't even understand what opera was, but I was like, okay. Part of our trip and our scholarship was to go to Berlin, and it was, I think, 85 or 86, so the wall was still there. It was a really big deal to go there. And we got to go to the Staatsoper. And I'd never, I mean, 3 months ago, I was looking at the cows, and now I'm 17, and I'm in the Staatsoper, and it's Bohème. And the curtain goes up, and the music, and the pathos, and the singing. It was just like transformative, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So with my whole heart and soul, I went back to the States. I got my singing degree for my undergraduate, but I was now, instead of a star, I was a little fish in a big pond. And there was a lot of competition, and I started to get nerves, and I never had it before, but all of a sudden I was like, not the superstar. And I graduated, I went to NEC, New England Conservatory, and then I was an even smaller fish in a pond with world-class musicians. And this tension kept sneaking into my body. And I felt like, I don't know if you've ever seen those Looney Tune commercials or cartoons from way back. Like, there was this guy, and he had a singing frog. He sees this singing frog, and he picks him up and puts him in a shoebox and takes him home, and the frog jumps out of the box and is like, "Hello, my baby, hello, my darling." He's like, "I'm going to be a millionaire." So he takes the frog to Broadway, he opens the box, and the frog goes, "Ribbit, ribbit." That was me, because I would sing for my teachers, the conductors, the coaches, and they would be like, "You have a world-class voice, go for it, go for it, go for it." And every time I would get into a master class or an audition, I would just get this tension, and I couldn't sing, I couldn't hit my high notes. And because I worked hard and I was really diligent, I got things. I got some small gigs, I got tours, I got some smaller things, and I eventually landed a job for Boston Lyric Opera, and I did some small bit parts for them. I sang in the paid chorus. But it wasn't my dream. I wanted to be at the Met, and I was in this chorus, and I know a lot of people would have really envied my position there. I was getting paid to sing in a professional theater, a national company, but I was sick, because I knew that I had the voice, but I could not pull it together, and I had all this tension, and I was watching everybody I went to school with surpass me. And I mean, I remember opening my mailbox one day and getting my Geeky Opera News magazine and seeing the picture on the cover of someone who was in my studio. And I'm sitting on the stage in the chorus, and I remember very specifically it was Magic Flute, and I was on stage, orchestra was playing, there were like 1,500 people in the audience, Pamina was singing, and I decided that was the perfect moment to lean over and make a comment to my colleague. So I'm on stage in a performance, and I lean over and I whisper something to this person. And nobody saw me. I mean, it's, you know, my back was to the audience. They just probably saw me leaning. But I knew in that moment that it was time for me to hang up my cap, because I was apathetic, I was jaded, I was bitter, wasn't what I wanted, and I'd worked way too hard to even get that position. And I'd been really a professional. I'd always prided myself on all of the things that I worked on towards excellence. So I left, and it was really hard because I had no clue what I was going to do next. I felt like a leopard without spots because but it was really hard because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just knew I didn't want to feel like a failure, because I felt like a failure at singing. Even though I had a world-class training, I spent thousands of dollars on voice lessons, acting lessons, language lessons. I went to Italy twice to study Italian. I went to New York and worked with a world-class breathing specialist just to learn how to breathe. Don't we know how to breathe already? I mean, but we don't. I took posture lessons 3 years, every week for 3 years. So I really invested in this. But I didn't know what Gmail was. I had no clue. I had no clue what I was going to do next or how I could contribute or make a living or do anything. But I knew I didn't want to be a failure, and I knew I wanted to make money because I hadn't been doing that to the level that I wanted to. So I ended up going to a career counselor, and I said, I don't know what I can do. And she said, let's take some assessments, and we came up with image consulting because I was good at that. I'd always helped other singers. We had a Russian troupe come from St. Petersburg one time, and I did all the sopranos' hair. I knew how to do that. So I went and got certified from the London Image Institute in image consulting, which I liked. But I came back and I said, I don't know why, but I feel sort of called to be in business. And I didn't know why. I'd never been in business before. I'd always been a musician. So she said to me, well, you know, there is this thing called personal branding. You might check it out. And I read about it, and it was helping people find their voice, helping them articulate their value, helping them really express themselves. And I was like, hallelujah. The heavens opened up, and it was like, you know, God was like, Heather, this is your calling. Because it was helping people find their voice. Check. Helping people express themselves. Check. Helping people tell a story. Opera is story. Helping people dress the part. All the boxes were checked, and I was like, this is it. So I started doing it, and it absolutely was what I loved doing. I loved doing it, but the most interesting thing happened. When I took my focus off of me, of like my stardom and me being at the Met and putting all that pressure on me and really started helping people, I started to get a much deeper sense of my authentic voice, of why I'm really here, how I can really serve people and help people. And that was super powerful. And that process and that voice and that helping and that calling has only grown over time. And the most amazing thing to me is that when I did that, that tension in my body started to dissipate. And I started to have access to my singing in a way that I'd never had before, and control with my voice. I mean, I'm 7:30 in the morning, so I probably don't sound like a superstar right now. But now I sing for charity. I raised, I don't know, $1,000 for an Children's AIDS Foundation last year, and it's really rewarding to me to use my voice in that way, and I'm still singing and doing that. But I'm telling you this because having your authentic voice and really following that changes everything. And I feel so, so passionately about it. I've seen how it's changed my life, and sometimes we think we have these experiences, and we're like, why did I have to go through that? And that's what makes us what we are, and that's what we can use in everything that we do moving forward. So that's my story. That's why I'm so passionate about it. And my mission is to help as many people as possible unlock their potential and take command of their authenticity so they can have as big a life as they want. And that's why I'm here. And so I have 7 steps that I've laid out, and you have your little sheets, to follow along, to help you do that and take some tidbits away today to really get started. So the first one is, you need to have a sense of personal mission. Often we talk about big companies like Apple, and I read one from JetBlue. JetBlue has a pretty good one. It's bringing humanity to the skies. And life is good. Who knows life is good? Does anybody know their mission? It's spreading optimism across the world. So when you have a mission, it really fuels your business. And if you have a company, or if you work for a company, I know there are a lot of people that work at banks here, to get people in leadership, right? To get people on board with that mission is really key, because it keeps you focused. There's so many things that we can do in life, so many projects, so many directions we can go, but if you're really clear on the mission, that drives everything. And the other thing that it does is it magnetizes your audience to you, because they sense that you're passionate about, you have thought about what you want to do. So life is good, spreading optimism, that comes through every decision they make. Is this spreading optimism? Is what we're doing in alignment with our mission? So if you have your own business, it's even more important, because it's you, it's your story. And that's one of the tips, is if you're not sure what the mission is, look back. Like I just told you my story, look back. How did you get to where you are? How did the bank get to where it is? How did your individual business get to where it is? Why is it there? What is the purpose? What are you really doing? Right? You might be selling mattresses. You're not selling mattresses. You're helping people with their health and their sleep, right? It's that deeper sense of mission. So have a sense of mission. The second thing is understand your superpower. You can have lots of things that you're good at, but there are only a couple things that you're really, really great at. And I'll tell you a story. When I was building my business, I wanted to learn more about sales, and I went to work with a really high-end sales specialist. I think she'd sold like $50 million in the course of her career, and she was a specialist in Facebook ads. And she wanted us to really focus on online. And I said, you know, I would really like to explore being on TV. And she said, don't do that. You're not going to make any money doing that. Don't do that. You really need to focus online. So I did that, and I made some sales. I made some, good sales, but I started to shrink. And I was like, I'm not happy. I don't feel energized. I don't feel passionate about what I'm doing. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't care if I make any money on TV or not. I need to be in front of people. So the week after I made the decision that I was going to pursue that, out of the blue, I got a phone call from WinCam in Winchester that said, you did something for us a while back. We have a new studio. How'd you like to come and do a show? I didn't even have to ask. Someone just called me. So that was the start of my podcast, and I've met so many people doing that, and now people call me to speak. I just got a call last week, or an email from someone in Florida who was looking for sponsor speakers for their events. It's my superpower. I like to be in front, it's one of them. I like to be in front of people, and people pay me because I'm good at performing, and now I have that in my business model. I help other people speak. I help them with their presentations and speaking from the stage. So there are other things I do in my business, but that's one of the most important pieces, and we all have that. And when you can identify that in your business, what your superpower is, that's what's going to differentiate you from everybody else. Because there are lots of financial planners, there are lots of health coaches. Why you? What is it that you do that makes you stand out? Your school, what is different about your school than other charter schools or other private schools? Why are people going to come to you? What is the special, unique sauce that you have for your students and your families that come? And then you have to be able to connect that to the transformation. So when I am doing master classes, the transformation that I help people do is get their message out there and feel really confident and get clear actually on what their superpower is. I had a woman on my last master class who was she was a CPA, she'd worked in hedge funds, she'd done all this stuff, but she wanted to do business coaching. And everybody kept saying, you need to do taxes, you need to help people with their taxes. And she was trying to do a signature talk around helping people with their taxes. And she started to get really sort of mad when she was talking about how people price things in their business. And I said, that's something you need to pay attention to because you're really passionate about it. And she started kind of going on, and I was working with her, and I turned to, well, I'll ask you, how many of you would pay money to have someone help you understand how to structure your business model and price your products and services? Hello, right? I said, that's your superpower. You need to lead with that. And she started doing that. She started emailing with her message in that way, and people started responding. So that superpower thing is super, super important. The next piece is you have to own your value. And this is a really big pet peeve of mine. You saying that you are fantastic at something, that you are the best at what you do, that you're great at what you do, does not make anyone else smaller. You being great and me singing up here and saying, I've studied hard, I'm a great singer, I work hard, doesn't make anybody else a bad singer or a less good singer. You have to own your value. Because if you don't own your value, your clients aren't going to own your value. You have to set your pricing and what you put out into the world based on what you think you can deliver. And you know, I also give the example, if I sing at a wedding, someone's not paying me 2 minutes for 2 minutes of singing. They're not paying me, you know, like if they pay me whatever it is, $100 million for those 2 minutes, just to say. They're not paying me for 2 minutes of singing. They're paying me for all of the training that I did to get to that point. So think about your value based on the results that you give for people. When you think about what the financial, emotional, health results that they have, if you're a health coach and you add 10 years to someone's life because they change their eating and exercise habits, what's that worth? Is it worth $90 an hour? Is it worth $10,000 in a coaching package? You get to decide that. And I tell you a story also about someone, a couple of years ago, I was doing some market research, some branding research, and I wanted some feedback about my brand. So I sent out on Facebook, I think a couple different places, if you know me at all, could you send me back 3 words, and I advise you to do this, this is good branding exercise, 3 words that come to mind that speak to you about who I am, you know, like whatever. Too loud, chatty, or confident, whatever it is. And so I got feedback, and this one comment blew me away, and not in a good way. This person said, you know, Heather, I don't really know you that well, but I wanted to reach out to you because about a year ago, I was looking at your website. I was looking for someone to help me with my business and branding, blah, blah, blah. And I saw that you had on there a $97 consultation. And I didn't think you were ready. I didn't think that you were seasoned enough. I didn't think that you really could help me at the level that I needed. So the first thing I did was I went to my website and I took that off my website, right? Because I wasn't at the level that she wanted to be. And that's something you need to think about. Who do you want to serve? What kinds of clients do you want coming in? If you want high-level clients, you have to show up as a high-value expert. You get to determine that. So own your value. The next thing is have a clear and compelling message. So this is combining the things that we've talked about so far. Understand your mission. Understand your niche and your superpower and the transformation that you can provide. And understand your value. And then be able to communicate that in a clear and compelling way. So if you get to a networking event or you have to speak or you're talking at a party, you can communicate that in a way that makes people respond. I mean, how many times, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot today, but how many times have you been somewhere where you've heard somebody and you're like, I really don't know what they do? Or, you know, like, it's not interesting, it's not exciting, it doesn't speak to you. It's really important. And one of the ways that you can do that the best is to understand your story. And I gave you a really good example today of my story and how that process of going through all those experiences led me to where I am now. Narrative is one of the best selling tools that we have as human beings because we all like stories. I mean, that's what cavemen did to communicate through time. And I had a client that I worked with probably for, I would say, a good 6 months, and we were working on her story. And she's really talented at what she does. She'd gotten someone on the Oprah show. I mean, this woman is talented. But she wasn't attracting her clients. Like, she was posting and doing podcasting and interviews and emailing, and people were not responding to her. And I said, you know, I think that there's more here. I think that there's another story that maybe you're not sharing. And there was. It was a really deeply personal story, an intense story. And she was not ready, quite ready to share it. And I said, you know, when you're ready, I think it would be really good for you to share that story. And we worked on it. She wrote an email to her list, one email, and she told her story to her list and why she's doing what she's doing. She made $7,800 from that one email. It was the best month she'd had in her business because people finally connected to her. So understanding your story and communicating your message is huge because that's the emotional connection. You want people to be with you and understand you and to feel like you care about them, that you get them. I mean, if someone comes to me and they're struggling to get their message out, they know that I understand how painful that feels and how frustrating that can be. So have a clear message. Then the next thing is you have to have, or you should have, it's very good to have something signature to sell. And we all have things that we sell in our businesses, different products, but when you can say, I am the creator of, that really gives you some cachet. So I interviewed someone, talk about mission. I interviewed this woman yesterday. Her name is Linda Cruz, and she's doing an event, I think at the Regent Theater, yes.
At the Regent.
At the Regent for the Nepal earthquake victims. And when I was reading her, she's worked with the Dalai Lama, with Prince Charles, with Sir Richard Branson. I mean, she's the real deal. Talk about mission. She was a single mom that was working a really bad job she didn't like, and the stress made her temporarily blind. And she decided she was going to change her life. And it took a little while, but she had, what did I say the first one was? Quizzing you. What's the first step? Mission. She had a mission, and now she's been on every continent on the planet to help disaster victims, and she's worked with all these world leaders to do it. But as I was reading her bio, I said speaker, inspirational author, creator of the Emergency Zen Thought Leadership Series. She was the creator of. So if you are, I'm sorry to pick on health coaches, but if you're a health coach, there's so many things that you do to get healthy. You eat healthier, you move your body more, you get more rest, you reduce stress, eliminate toxins, right? It's not rocket science. There's certain things that you do. If you're a financial coach, you spend less than you spend less than you earn, right? Or there's certain things you plan for your retirement. Why you and how do you present that information in a unique way? What is your experience that indicates how you do that? So if you're a health coach, you might be someone who says, eat only veggies, gluten-free, vegan, but you might be a health coach that's paleo, and that is all about meat, and all about, I know someone who's like no portion control, and she's all about the sensuality of food and enjoying yourself, which is very different from like eat vegan. So what is your unique spin, and then put it together in a way that reflects your personality, your unique expertise, and it doesn't have to be a program, it doesn't have to be a service, it can be a product. Your unique, your signature product that you have. Like, where did the scones come from?
King Arthur,
Are they known for their scones?
for their baked flour, baking.
And you went to Vermont to get the scone. Like, this is a perfect example, right? Signature product, right? They all the way to Vermont for that scone mixture because it's so fabulous. So that's one of the things that really makes you stand out. Have a signature service, a signature product. Okay, that is number 5. Number 6, have a killer on-brand image. I'm an image consultant, so I have to bring this up. But it is not just about your personal image, and it's not about looking like you just stepped out of Vogue. It's about being on brand and showing up as the best version of whatever your brand is. And the example I really like to talk about is Eddie Bauer. Who's been to Eddie Bauer at the mall? What does that store look like? Rustic, right? Everything is on, like the naughty pine floors, the big wooden tables, the thing of the background where they're kayaking or whatever it is that those people do. I don't do that. But it's immaculate. That store is immaculate. All of the shirts are folded. All of the piles are just so. It's color coordinated. It is immaculate. You know exactly what you're getting. It's a high-level version of something that's rustic and laid back. So whatever your brand is, it doesn't have to be couture. You want to show up as the best version and be consistent. So that might be your fonts are consistent. So you don't have 20 different fonts. It might be a color. It might be your logo. It might not be those things. You might have different colors and different logos, or not different fonts, but there's a consistent thread of style. So it might be a vibe that's consistent. You might have a really shiny vibe, or whatever it is. It has to have a thread of consistency in there. And then I always say the higher the level of polish, the higher the perceived value. If you were going to have work done on your house and someone comes up to your door and they go ding dong, and you open the door and the guy's just come from his last job and he reeks and he's got paint on his face and ripped in his jeans. I mean, he might be the best handyman in the world, but you have that first impression. Now, if someone else comes to your door, ding dong, and they've got on a polo and they've got the name of the company and it's tucked in and they've got a clipboard, you have a completely different impression of their level of professionalism. It might not be true. They might be horrible. But we're humans, that 90% of us are visual, so that's how we judge people. So it's super important, and online, you are a click away from being irrelevant. I'm browsing, oh, I like that, click, no, click, 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 click. It's super important. And also, your headshot is really important. Please don't do any weird, like, props and smile. Smiling is really, I know I keep saying it's super important, but is really, don't you want to work with someone who smiles? Don't you want to be around someone who's friendly? Unless you are James Bond or a security guard, please smile, at least in some of your pictures. Show your personality. So having a killer on-brand image is key. Then the last thing, and I know this is going to touch some nerves, but you need to be a shameless self-promoter. We live in a really, really busy, noisy world. You've got to get your voice heard. It takes, I've heard different statistics, but it takes on average 7 touches before someone buys from you. That doesn't necessarily mean 7 emails. It might mean you hear me speak here, you heard about me over there, you saw my meme on Facebook, you got an email from me, but on average it takes 7 times. When was the last time you approached someone 7 times? Right? They might have said, I'm not ready, no, and then you're like, okay. You have to get your voice out there. And I know that we're very self-conscious about I know the word that people don't like, about being salesy, right? Nobody wants to be salesy. We don't want to be pushy. We don't want to be annoying. But people can unsubscribe. All they have to do, I have people unsubscribe from my list every single day. I have people email me nice letters about why they're unsubscribing. And someone might not like what I've said, and they're very kind and let me know they don't like what I've said. It's totally cool, because for every person that unsubscribes, someone who loves what I'm doing is coming on board. And that's what you want. That's what I was talking about at the beginning. Not everybody is your audience. So you want to get out there as much as possible. If you have kids, you know what this is like, because if you come from service in your business, if you really want to help people, if you knew, I'm sort of going sideways here, but if you knew someone was going to die of cancer if they didn't change their eating habits, wouldn't that change how urgently you felt about getting your message across to them? Like, I know that if you don't lose weight, you're gonna have diabetes. So now all of a sudden I come with service, and I really want to get my message out there. And if you believe in what you do, you want to help people. You want to get it out there. So if you can get that in your brain, it makes it a little less uncomfortable to be visible, because you have to be visible. And what I was saying about kids is that, you can tell your kids 100 times about something they should do that's in their best interest, and they're like, Mom. And then someone over there will say the exact same thing, and they're like, that is so smart. Why didn't you say that, Mom? And you're like, But that happens in your marketing too, is that you're saying something, and then you drop out. You're not consistent. You're not visible. And then someone else comes along and says, I have this great product, this great program. And the other thing is, it might not actually be the same thing you're selling, because people have limited budgets. It's how they're spending their money. So you might be selling widget A, and you think someone else is going to come along and sell another widget A, but they come along and sell widget F, and they're like, you know what, I don't even need widget A. I'm going to go over here and do this completely different thing. Like, I'll give you an example on our house. We had to decide, were we going to put on a deck or we had some damage from last winter. 2 different projects. I have to say, we went with the deck because I didn't really want to think about all of the snow that we had last year. So you are you going to do a deck, or are you going to get a washing machine? Those aren't the same people, right? They're the different stores, different services. So you have to be visible. And I'm going to just bring you back to the mission again. If you really believe in what you're doing and you're there of service, it's not so hard. You feel more compelled. You really do want to help people. And people understand that if you are coming from that place. So don't be afraid to really get your voice out there, and be consistent, be clear, and be bold. So those are the 7 steps. Mission, superpower. I had these cool, I'm going to do it. Your mission is like an arrow. Maybe this will help you remember. Mission is like an arrow guiding you. You need to have your superpower. You need to own your value. You need to have a heartfelt message. You need to have something to offer that's signature. You need to have a great look. And you need to be a shameless self-promoter. So maybe you can do those hand gestures when you're thinking about it. So I hope that that was helpful for you guys. I always offer for people to find out more about me, to work with me if they want to, and I have a flyer here. I'm launching a program in the spring. It's a coaching program where I go in depth on what I just taught you. We talk about how to establish an aligned personal mission for your business, how to create a signature system that sells, how to create a streamlined, profitable business, how to do a signature talk to sell from the stage, how to create your authentic online image, all of the things that I talked about. And this is going to be a high-end coaching program for people who want a big platform, they want speaking tours, they want to write a book, they want to be on national TV. And the program is coaching with me with this content, and it's going to sell when it goes. It's going to go up for $12,000. But I'm pre-recording the content because I want to have Q&A all done in the can before I launch. And I've made that available to my list, just to my list, and I'm going to make it available to you too because I'm launching in a week. And it's all of the content. It's Q&A, but it's not the big coaching program, and it's going to be $497. So it's everything I talked about today. I'm going to be coaching on the calls. They're going to be calls with Q&A at the end to get question and answer. It's the same content that's going to go in my big coaching program in the spring. It's $497. And I like fast action people. I have people who really want to go. So if the first 5 people, if you're interested, if it's not for you, I bless you and wish you well. There's no pressure. But if you want it and you think this is for you, the first 5 people, I'm going to make it available for $297 today. But only today, and only the first 5 people. Otherwise, until Sunday, it's $497. And I have a sign-up sheet if that's interest to you. And if there are any, I don't know if we have time for Q&A or if there's anything you want to know.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes, we can do Q&A.
Was that helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Heather?
I got very quickly, the top of your handout,
Yes.
perhaps I was not fully aware of what you were getting at, but I missed your first message. The job of your brand is not to, it is.
Who can tell her what that was? What the job of your brand is not to
Have people like you.
Be loved.
So,
be loved by everybody,
okay,
right? It's not to get the whole entire world. It's to find your audience and speak
Okay.
to your audience. Okay, well, if there are any, I don't want to leave and not answer the questions, but if there aren't any other questions, I just want to thank you. And I want to leave you with one parting thought, which came from the erudite Anne Hathaway from the Princess Diary movie on Disney, which is brave people do not live forever, but cautious people don't really ever live. So,
You know, maybe I thought it was such a nice presentation, it was so informative, and you covered so many good things, and I just really appreciate that. I really got a lot out of it.
oh, thank you.
Very
Thank
nice.
you. It was my pleasure. As I said, it's really my mission to help people. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody, for coming.